Eyewitness accounts from the trenches of World War I suggest that rats can even develop a taste for human flesh. Soldiers reported huge rats that would devour corpses on the battlefield.
I saw some rats running from under the dead men's greatcoats. Enormous rats, fat with human flesh. My heart pounded as we edged towards one of the bodies. His helmet had rolled off. The man displayed a grimacing face, stripped of flesh, the skull bare, the eyes devoured, and from the yawning mouth leapt a rat.
Jane Leeds and her husband Daniel, they lived in a cabin along the Mullica River in the Great Swamp. And folks in those parts said it was a strange family, an unusual family.
The Leeds had 12 children, which was extraordinary in the 1700s.
We know that once she became pregnant with her 13th child, as she was saying her bedtime prayers, she said, "Lord, let this one not be a child. Let this one be a devil."
One frigid February night, the 13th Leeds child was born.
Started out, it was a perfectly healthy, normal little baby boy with blonde hair and blue eyes. But then something went terribly wrong. In place of the baby blue eyes, there were eyes all right, but they were glowing red like two burning coals, and they were set in the horrible head of a horse with two horns coming out on either side of the horse's head, and where the shoulder blade should have been, there were the wings of a bat. It had a long serpentine tail. The creature gave out a blood-curdling scream and escaped out the chimney.
The legend says that the beast has terrified the region ever since. As fantastic as the story may sound, eyewitnesses continue to claim to see the beast to this day. A countess named Elizabeth Bathory, a real person born in 1560. She became renowned for her bloodlust, eventually becoming known as the Blood Countess.
The legend has it that one day she was in a room getting ready. One of her handmaidens, I guess, got cut or something, and blood ended up on her face. And when she wiped it away, she noticed that her skin was whiter, younger looking underneath.
She became transfixed by blood. And Bathory began a brutal murder spree, killing her female servants for their blood.
So it sort of set something going in her mind that if she were to regularly bathe in this blood and really douse herself with it, she would look young longer. And she started bathing in blood of her maidens. The biggest count is like 650 girls died at her hand.
She was eventually jailed for her crimes and died behind bars. The Davises treated the primate like a son. They were celebrating Moe's birthday at the chimp sanctuary where he lived.
We went to bring him up his toys and balloons and presents, and so we was having a good time. Donna got the cake out of the car, was at a table, and she cut me a piece of cake and Mo a piece of cake.
As Mo patiently waited behind the cage bars for his treat, 4 other chimps escaped from a separate pen. One of these chimps, a male, spotted the Davises and started to display aggression.
And at that moment, he came around from behind the tree, and I knew we were in trouble instantly.
Before either husband or wife could react, the brutal attack began.
He had her face and her hair with one hand, and he had her thumb and the other in his mouth, and he bit her thumb off. Well, she started yelling and screaming bloody murder.
A second chimp joined the attack. To protect his wife, Davis pushed her underneath a picnic table.
We're stomping and pushing, and he takes his thumb and gouge out my eye and bit my eyebrow off, my nose, my mouth. 5 bites to the head, 4 to the neck, and biting fingers off, and One's chewing on my privates and my hind end. He ate so much out of my hind end, he got in my sciatic nerve, and that's why my legs don't work. He ate the bottom off of my left foot.
I can remember James saying, "Stay down, keep back."
The brutal attack lasted 15 minutes before a sanctuary worker was able to shoot and kill both animals.
I'll never forget this as long as I live. A lady came up, I believe it was in an animal control unit. She approached, and I could hear her let out a scream, and she said, "My God, what went on here?"
The night before her death, the 3-year-old Appaloosa appeared healthy. She returned home to be fed after grazing in a pasture for the day.
Come on, lady.
The next night she didn't show up at her usual time. And the family went out and searched for her.
What they found would haunt them forever.
They found her lying in the field with most of the skin on her neck and head removed.
Farrell led a small group of teenagers literally called the Vampire Clan.
Rod Farrell has followers who look to him as a powerful being.
He and the Vampire Clan gathered nightly in a local cemetery to puncture each other's skin so they could drink warm, fresh blood. Farrell and 2 other Vampire Clan members drove to the Eustis, Florida home of his girlfriend and brutally murdered her parents. He burned a V, his vampire mark, into each of the corpses before leaving the scene. On January 7th, 1907, Fawcett was on assignment with Britain's Royal Geographical Society. He described the encounter in his journal.
We were drifting easily along in the sluggish current when there appeared a triangular head and several feet of undulating body. It was a giant anaconda. I sprang for my rifle and, hardly waiting to aim, smashed a .44 soft-nosed bullet into its spine. We stepped ashore and approached the reptile with caution.
Earlier, Don's wife Elizabeth had been threatened by the creature while home alone. Late that night, the beast would return, this time attacking Bobby in the yard just east of the house.